Welcome back, everybody. It's the Ecom Dispensary. It's Knowledge Drop number 36, episode number 146. And this one, we're talking about the recent Facebook outage that happened this past week. What day did that happen? Was it on Tuesday?
Monday.
Monday? Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, Monday. Okay. So you guys that are listening to this, you are probably all very aware of this. I think just about everyone was pretty aware of this because Instagram was down for like almost the entire day. It was seriously messing with my ability to mindlessly scroll through bullshit media. It was also obviously affecting our business because no one could use Facebook or Instagram, and our ads were not running. I don't think I think it was ended up being okay because since everything was down, it's not like we were spending money on ads. So I don't think it was like a super unprofitable day or anything. But definitely the numbers were definitely lower than normal. Probably the longest Facebook outage that I've ever seen personally. And it was pretty wild because, I mean, everything was down. Facebook was down, Instagram was down, WhatsApp was down, everything within the Facebook ecosystem was down. So we want to talk a little bit about this. Obviously, Facebook is a huge part of our entire business strategy. Probably also applies to you guys listening to this as well. I think there's kind of a lot to unpack here with what this outage was, what the potential effects of that are, if there's anything that we should be concerned about as Facebook advertisers coming down the line with this. There's kind of a lot to unpack here. So, Scotty, what is your understanding of everything that happened with Facebook up to this point?
I have very little understanding of him. Facebook was down. I remember on our weekly call, Josh asked, "Oh, how long does this usually take?" And I was like, it'll be back within an hour probably. I think you said, probably sooner than that. And normally it is. Like normally they get that shit sorted real quick. But apparently not this time. It was down for a long time. I don't know what caused it. I don't know if it really matters what caused it, but Facebook was down. And somewhat surprisingly, we weren't charged for ads. I think on the day it happened, everyone was assuming that somehow or another you would still end up getting charged for ads. But seems like Facebook was ahead of the curve and made sure that nobody got charged for ads that day.
So I was expecting us to spend a bunch of money for non-existent ads and then to get like a 14-cent refund.
Classic.
That'd be classic Facebook. So there's been a lot of speculation about what was going on with this. The night before this happened, there was a 60 Minutes sort of expose on Facebook. There was this lady who I guess is a whistleblower came out and was basically accusing Facebook of not doing enough to stop misinformation and hateful content, things that generally make society worse. She was accusing Facebook, and she like stole all these documents and all these things, these internal research documents about, that Facebook had found out that, it was basically that like Instagram was really a net negative for like teenage girls. I think it was specifically, and how it like causes teenage girls to have suicidal thoughts and, a bunch of stuff. And she basically was trying to expose Facebook for putting their own, profit motives before the well-being of society. I watched the main part of that expose.
Breaking news right there.
Say
Corporation
again?
chooses profit over morals. Breaking news.
Yeah, for real. Like that's it. That's like a huge thing.
I thought Zuck was such a nice guy. Him and his electronic hoverboard.
I'm just thinking of that video of him wearing just an absurd amount of sunscreen, like on his like foil board or whatever. That photo is so freaking funny, man. He looks absolutely insane.
With the American flag.
Yeah, I think that was the one.
I think he did an American flag for 4th of July.
No, I think that was a different one. That one was also pretty funny. He just looks like such a weird dude. He really does look like a fucking lizard person or something.
He definitely looks like the guy who would steal your business idea. and build into one big world.
Yeah. So there was speculation that, I mean, the timing of this was a little strange. This whole 60 minutes expose comes out on Sunday night, and then all of a sudden, all day Monday, Facebook is down. There was some speculation that the reason Facebook was down was because good old Zuck was just deleting a bunch of incriminating info and, everything, things that could potentially be very bad for himself and for Facebook. This has been like a common theme over the course of the past couple years. Facebook's had to testify in front of Congress. There was like that absolutely legendary moment where Zuckerberg was asked how they make money, and he was like, "Senator, we run ads." It's nothing new.
That'll brighten up your day. If you're looking for something to watch and laugh at, that'll brighten up your day for sure.
Oh yeah, that's a great clip. I think it is a little fishy. It is a little fishy that this expose came out, and then right after, Facebook is down all day. And the crazy part was it wasn't just like Facebook was down, like we couldn't use it. It was like even Facebook employees couldn't use their internal like messaging systems. They couldn't even like get into their offices. Everyone was just completely locked out, which I think that makes it especially sketchy, because I just don't see. I mean, I guess just because everything's connected to the same kind of internet. I mean, I'm not like a DNS expert or anything. I don't really know exactly how all that works, but that, I don't know. To me, that just seems a little fishy.
Yeah, this is definitely conspiracy theory land. The thing about conspiracy theories is that some of them end up being true, for sure. But what I would like to know is how much attention and how many views, or just what was the reaction to that 60 minutes expose when it came out on Sunday, and how much has it blown up because of the conspiracy theories on Monday? That to me is kind of the question, because I think I don't know, I haven't looked into it. I think it's highly possible that 60 minutes of an expose and not that many people cared about it, and then people started coming up with conspiracy theories, and now everyone cares about it. So if that was a ploy by Facebook, it would be a really fucking stupid one, because it brought more attention to it, number one. And I also think there might be a lot more. I think there might be more frequent exposés saying that Facebook is a bad company, and we just don't hear about them, and we're hearing about this one because of the outage. I think it's possible. I think it's highly probable.
I think that's definitely possible. It's the timing. That's the thing for me, is that it's the timing of it. And just, I think like we can all pretty much assume, at least, my thought process is like, Facebook is definitely doing some sketchy stuff that they do not want the public to know about. I mean, that's probably the case with, most companies of that size. That's just kind of how things go. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they would need to bring down the entire system all day to like delete a bunch of incriminating info or something. But it does draw attention to the fact that, there's definitely some, I would say, like maybe inconsistencies, or that's not quite the right word that I'm looking for. There's some concerns about like the long-term viability of Facebook. Obviously, it's the largest social media, the largest ad platform. At this point, still the most effective, at least in my opinion. But there's been calls to break Facebook up, and every time that something like this happens, where Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, every time that all those things go down at the same time, there's always calls that, this is too big, they need to be broken up. Will that happen? I don't know. To be completely honest, I think that Zuck might be invincible. I think that he is at this point where he has such an immense amount of power and influence that I don't know if he's even touchable at this point.
Can you kill a lizard?
Can you kill an interdimensional lizard person? I don't know.
Question, Plato.
Does this make you think any differently about Facebook, Scotty? Does this make you think that, maybe we should put a little bit more effort into other ad platforms outside of Facebook, or is this just kind of one of those things where you're just like, that's whatever?
I mean, I think everyone else should stop advertising on Facebook because of this. I think it's just a sign of things to come, and it's time to pack up the bags and go home.
Yeah, I think you're right. Everyone except for us, stop advertising on Facebook. We'll get some bang in CPMs. I think that's the move. No, but on a serious note, like, what do you think about this?
I don't think it changes how we run our business. I mean, we've been focusing on other ad platforms, other forms of traffic, recurring sales, etc. for a while. And I think we keep doing that, but this doesn't change my take on it at all.
Yeah.
Like we know there's a risk when you're heavily reliant on one company. And the thing happening doesn't change the risk. Like the risk of some Facebook related issue has not increased since Monday, in my opinion. It was just, this is a symptom, this is a symptom of the problem. It hasn't changed the underlying problem.
Yeah. I feel that. I thought it was pretty funny. I saw a bunch of people talking, people who do other forms of marketing besides Facebook, like just talking hella shit on Monday, talking about how, you're dumb if you only rely on Facebook. I do Google ads, and, Google ads this could never happen with Google ads or something like that. I'm like, something like this is just as likely to happen with Google as Facebook.
Yeah, that's funny. Or email marketers, like, this is why email is king. Like, where was your email list build, dipshit?
Some silly gooses out there for sure.
Billboards. We need billboards.
My billboards never go down. That's funny. But yeah, I don't know. I think there's some sketchy stuff going on with Facebook, but I also kind of think that Facebook is, like, at this point, too large of an entity. Unless there were some serious government action taken. The thing is, the government just doesn't understand. When they had that hearing, Zuck literally had to explain to Congress how they made money. And it's the most basic thing. Like, anyone with half a freaking brain understands how Facebook makes money. But the government, they're old and they're clueless, man. I don't think they have any idea, like, the extent of, the amount of power that Facebook has, or how they really operate, like how things actually work behind the scenes. And Zuck, I think, is just like 5 steps ahead. And I don't know. I don't see anything super negative happening in terms of, like, government breaking them up necessarily. But I don't know, man. I think it is a little bit sketchy what they're doing. Maybe this is just what happens when you grow a business to this size. Like, I don't know if Zuckerberg necessarily has bad intentions. I don't think he's trying to destroy society or anything, but he is trying to maximize profit. And I think that in doing that, negative effects on society are kind of part of that. That's just it's the way things go.
Yeah. I'm going to give my non-expert legal opinion here. I don't know. I mean, breaking up Facebook is obviously unlikely, but possible. But I think the fact that they allowed the acquisition of Instagram and WhatsApp to go through was just a massive blunder. Like, the acquisition of Instagram in particular seems clearly illegal. Like, you cannot just buy up your competitor. Like, you can't just, there's like three companies that do what you do in the world, and I'm going to buy the big up and comer so that I'm the only game in town. Like, that is not allowed. I'm amazed that they allowed that to go through. But having allowed it to go through, undoing it, I think, is obviously a huge step. But yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that they were allowed to do that.
I mean, I think when they acquired Instagram wasn't nearly as big as it is now. Like, I don't think that Instagram was even
pretty
close.
fucking big. I think it was pretty fucking big.
I don't know. I want to say that I'm probably pulling numbers out of my ass here, but I want to say that they bought Instagram for like 1 or 2 billion, and it's now worth like hundreds.
Yeah, I mean, Instagram had no revenue to speak of. It had like 7 employees or something. but I think they had a shit ton of users. I think they were, if like, I think they were probably like top 3 social media sites, however you want to define that, if you want to include YouTube or whatever.
Yeah.
Let me do some research while you talk.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I think that they're just too powerful, man. They just have so much influence. Like the way the world works now, this is how people get their news. This is how people get their information. And they have the power to decide what you get shown and what you don't. And that's just like, that's an incredible amount of power. And I don't know. The funny thing to me too is that the whistleblower thing, the whole expose, she was basically like super. I mean, it seemed like to me that she was like super left wing and was like pissed that they weren't doing more to like censor quote unquote harmful speech, or whatever they call that. And she was upset that they weren't doing enough, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think there's a legal thing there where, I mean, again, I'm going to completely butcher the explanation, but there's the question of, is Facebook a publisher, or is it the equivalent of the town square where anyone can go say something and the town is not responsible for what is said on that town square, whereas the New York Times is responsible for what is published in their paper. So the question is, in the digital age, what is Facebook? Is Facebook a publisher, or is it just a place where anyone can publish something and therefore Facebook is not responsible for what individual people publish? The way I understand it is, if you want to be treated as a, or not as a publisher, you have to not edit content or not choose what gets published and what doesn't get published. It has to be a free-for-all, essentially, where anyone can say anything. And as soon as you start saying anyone can say anything except we don't like Alex Jones, then you start getting into tricky legal waters, I believe, where if you're not allowing everything, you are perhaps a publisher and not just a platform, which I think is what Facebook would prefer to be considered as, because then they're not liable for what every dipshit on their platform says.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's been a pretty common ongoing debate. I think that's with Section 230, I believe, is the law that kind of allows them to operate like that and not have any liability for what people say on their platform. But I mean, I think at this point it's pretty undeniable that they very much do curate content. They have entire teams of people who that's literally their job. And I think it's one thing if you're just, removing content that is illegal, if it's like, actually against the law, I think that's one thing. But when it's just stuff, I mean, it's just crazy the amount of stuff that they've censored with everything COVID related, like any negative talk towards the vaccine or anything like that is just like completely censored. Like even this video right here, they just heard me say the word vaccine. There'll probably be a fucking notice on this video on YouTube talking about, COVID-19 vaccine information or something. I don't know. It's just weird.
Vax, fellas.
Yeah, not financial advice. But I think that's the gist. We just kind of wanted to talk about that because obviously Facebook is a very key part of our business, and potential issues with it are very well within our interests. We want to make sure that we can continue advertising effectively and profitably on the platform. And it's funny because I'm like kind of torn, because part of me is like the personal part of me is like, yeah, Facebook probably should be broken up. They should not have this much power. They should not be allowed to be treated as a platform when they really operate like a publisher. And the other part of me is like, well, I want to make money, so just let them keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Be awesome if they acquired TikTok and Snapchat too. So their algorithms would catch up. It's a bit like the China stuff, where like you were all on board with Trump coming down on China. It's like, yeah, well, he should do that. And we're like, no, he should not do that. We do not want tariffs on China. We do not want stricter whatever. So it's one of those things where you're like personal interest versus what you think would be right for society.
Yep.
Personally,
Yep.
I politically steer towards my personal financial interest. Society be damned. Me and Zucker are on the same page as far as that's concerned.
You're an evil lizard person too. Who would have known?
That I need to buy my Zuck sunscreen before I hit the beach next week.
All right, folks. Well, I think on that note, we're going to end this episode off. It's a Facebook fiasco. Hopefully, it won't be too many more outages like this, and we can all go on our merry way, print money with good old Facebook advertising. But if there's any more info about this, maybe we'll talk about it again. I personally, I find this stuff very interesting. So that'll do it for this one. We'll talk to you guys in the next one.